Hello, here we are, episode 12, and the last episode may have ruffled a few feathers, but that's okay, for if the teachings only sought to make us more comfortable in our present beliefs, they'd be of little value, would they? So, going back a bit, Zed put a question to our little group of 4 people back in June 1990. We're now, as I speak to you, in 2025, so a long time ago. He said, "A question for you. Consider the difference between men and women and their spiritual awareness. Why do women seem to be more spiritually aware? Is it a question of their polarity or their upbringing from the time of birth and the way they are taught to live in the world? The higher self and its level matter not whether it is a man or a woman, only in the choosing of the body. Spiritually, therefore, why should it choose a female or a male body?" Many have indicated the reasons for this through time, but how many of you have paid attention to the considerations of the upbringing and how differently you treat men from women? Men are taught to be aggressive. They play aggressive games, and those who have great physical strength stand high amongst their fellows. This aggression manifests itself as well in the material world. The acquiring of great wealth ensures that the man has great status. Up until now, in most parts of the world, the woman's role was seen to be different, but now she requires equality. Not in the spiritual sense, for she has that already, but in a material and superficial way, and therefore emulates her male counterpart in his ambitions, which run against the spiritual awareness and needs of the higher self. Surely the reverse should be the case, that men should learn the love and wisdom of the women, becoming less aggressive and less materialistic. But such requires a changing of the values of society, and that is something man should give consideration to. No one thinks of it, do they? We should see a liberation movement of men to emulate women, for they are the peacemakers of the world. On a slightly lighter note, in my experience of running workshops on a combination of these teachings and dynamic healing, the presence of more than 1 or 2 males was unusual. I remember one occasion when in a circle of about 30 people, there were just 2 men, and they deliberately sat next to each other. Whether this was for moral support, I have no idea. But they both looked very uncomfortable when everyone was asked to join hands. I guess that's why I remember it. But it's true. In my workshops, there was a predominance of women. Sometimes, often, exclusively women. I am a woman in this lifetime. I know I have had previous lifetimes as a man. I'm also aware of having male tendencies, and this is how it needs to be. The Chinese yin-yang symbol describes it perfectly. 2 opposing yet complementary shapes, perfectly aligned together within a perfect circle, each containing a smaller portion of the other. Each gender gives our higher self valuable opportunities for spiritual growth in our earthly personalities. And by the same token, equally valuable opportunities for raising humankind's awareness of the need to change direction before it's too late. The existing dominance of greed and aggression needs to change soon, including a greater acceptance of the role of women, because whatever rules of engagement that might have been applied in the past, they're not working, are they? This extract from the teachings is from 1990 again. We were told back then, never in your history on this planet have you been so capable of destroying your own environment and that of all those who share the planet with you. And yet, you still have choice. And as we raise through your endeavours the conscience of the world to what everybody does, still the motivation is greed. Mankind has never had an opportunity like it has now, where the resources of the world could be harnessed for the benefit of everyone, regardless of religion or colour. Now is the time for man to do something about it, before it's too late. For wouldn't it be a shame if we had to find somewhere else in the universe to experience life, because none existed on this planet? It makes you think, doesn't it? The sad thing is that man can clearly see the precipice of his own making, and with eyes wide open, he walks towards the edge. Zed said, "We're sorry to lay such heavy tasks at your feet, but you see the magnitude of our concern. Many argue that God would not allow such a situation to occur, but God has given you choice. How else are you going to learn? But it seems sad you should seek to destroy a planet in pursuance of choice." Time and again, these teachings speak of the need to think of planet Earth as one part of an immense universe. Why? Because all life is interactive. So like cells in a living body, what affects one affects all. And planet Earth is not the only planet of experience in the universe. To end this episode, I'd like to say something about the word awareness, which, as you know, crops up frequently in these teachings. So to explain, there are two aspects of awareness. Firstly, the awareness of the mind, and secondly, the awareness of the higher self, which is wisdom. In the context of these teachings, we are not speaking of consciousness, which includes the intellect. However, as I mentioned before, there will be moments in our life when the mind spontaneously opens to look in another direction, becomes open to the wisdom from another source, and thereby raises its awareness. The motivation could be finding a reason for our suffering, or it might even be a response to these teachings. But turning the mind's motivating factor of desire inwards is the pathway to mind awareness. Such is your meditation practice. The teachings also explain that as we feed our experiences of life into this process of awareness, so we increase the flow of spiritual truth, wisdom, and the motivating power of love into our everyday lives. It is a perfect pattern. Later on, I will share the first part of a diagram showing how this works in terms of the flow of energy. Remember, there's much to consider in these little podcast offerings, so take your time, watch them more than once, and hopefully see how they come together in a loving and meaningful way. I'll see you again, I hope.